One of the most profound gifts that we can give others is that of our presence. I think a lot of people are trying to find their way in the world, but it always comes back to you. It always comes back to you. I'm Kian the one with the sun. Today the sun shines at 19 degrees Pisces. We are getting closer and closer to spring. I truly feel that this is a time where a lot of us are wrapping up some major endings. I've certainly experienced this personally. And spring is going to be the time where we are reborn. We come back as self. We return to self. Shout out to Dean Davis in the chat. I wanted to talk about today the power of being you. It doesn't feel like it's an astrological concept or thing that we're going to talk about today, because there's not a whole lot of astrology going on right now. Sun is in Pisces, Moon is in Leo. Okay, it's about to oppose Pluto in Aquarius. There's going to be an extremity of emotion between heart and the collective, like what we feel in our heart, what our inner child would feel safe doing, opposing Pluto and Aquarius, which is this transformation that is happening within the collective, but also groups as well, whatever groups that you frequent. The power of being you. How do you know if something is good or bad for you specifically? I'm not talking about justice or morality. How do you know what is best for you? Shout out to Certified Croissant and Noah. What's going on? Welcome to the chat. This is actually a good question, Certified Croissant. He said, do you have any tips for getting subs? This ties into what I want to speak about. Just be yourself. Be yourself. But I think it's important if you pick up a trade or a craft. Okay? If you pick up a trade or a craft, then you can express yourself that much more clearly to the audience. Shout out to Ella. Says, where did you get your wig from? There is no wig, homie. And Noah asked if I like basketball. I do. I do like basketball. It's been a while since I played it, though. Can we see your hairpiece? Yes. Oh, feels so good to be me. Maybe this is a video, and I think Dean Davis would appreciate this because he joins the lives often. But maybe this is a video where I exercise the power of being me versus trying to do anything else. Neptune Red says, I can't believe I'm almost pregnant. Congratulations. It's amazing. That is amazing. Yeah. I've thought about it's a wild thing. Shout out to all the women out there for real. Because, shout out to Predoxin as well. But shout out to the women out there because without women, where the fuck would we be? Number one. Number two, the process of being pregnant, I think, is so trippy. Like, that trips me out thinking of it. I'm just like, that trips me out. Yo, shout out to Aaron Nelson in the chat. Yo, I picked up pickleball lately. Yo, pickleball's been a thing. There's a pickleball court next to my area of living. Anyways, the power of being you. Let's go back into this stream of consciousness. At the end of the day, we are all connected, whether we realize it or not. Social media just made it so much more apparent that we are connected, right? Which is why something happens on this side of the world, we might be able to find out about it. Because we're not going to tune into the news to some random foreign news station. I've been seeing this thing actually on Facebook where all these women are protesting. Everybody is protesting, just for their rights. And I think it's really interesting. So we're all connected, right? Everybody is connected in one way, shape, or form. And the danger in that is through this, we can look at others and be like, okay, you start comparing. Maybe I'm like this person. Maybe I'm like this person. But if we were all the same, I don't think life would have the depth and richness that it does. The reason why life is filled with the duality is because of the multiplicity of individuals, right? Your good is not the same as my good, and vice versa. We might have different definitions, but there's always beauty in being yourself, okay? When we were younger, we had this childlike sense of wonder that diminishes as we get older because we stop seeing the beauty in everything, okay? Even that flight, even that airplane above my head, Airplanes are trippy, by the way. You ever think about that? Like, you just sit in an airplane and you're like, bro, how am I flying right now? I mean, I know there's a whole thing, but humans created this. Somebody created it just by being themselves. So there's so much power in just being you, because that person, like I said, who sat there one day and was like, humans need to fly. We can't be on the ground. There has to be something we could do to fly. I think Leonardo da Vinci did some sketches or some stuff. But isn't that interesting? Somebody just by being themselves was able to progress the human family, the human narrative forward. Even if you don't know what you want to do, or you're kind of lost and you're trying to find your way, at the end of the day, you can always come back to you. And there's ways to access deeper parts of ourselves, the spiritual practices, meditation, prayer, because ourself, yes, we're a unique individual ego, but at the same time, we are connected to this much larger tapestry, and we are that tapestry. But it's when our human mind and our intellect tries to make sense of it, or tries to control the greater whole, which is pure chaos, then that's when we lose ourselves. Predoxin says, what do you think is the main reason behind this? Finding enjoyment in childhood. Did we get so busy with our lives that we stopped being ourselves? When we were children, think about how innocent you were. You didn't have a care in the world. You knew you were going to get taken care of. And you were always in the spirit of play. Okay? You're always in the spirit of play. You were so curious. There was wonder. What ends up happening inevitably is conditioning sets in, right? Whether it's our parents, our family, society, which is why all the things that I just previously said. These conditioning patterns take deep root. And essentially, as we grow older, they always say there's an inner child within us. We all have inner children, right? But there are few who tap into it, and then there are those who live as that inner child. Like, of course, they're responsible, they're adults, but they have a healthy relationship with that inner child. This is also fascinating because we're having this conversation because the moon is currently transiting Leo, which rules the inner child, which is the inner child, right? It's the heart, right? When we live from the heart, not from the mind splits things up into duality, into multiplicity. Is this good? Is this bad? Should I be doing this or this? But the heart always knows. Like deep down, you know what your joy is. You know how to find it, how to tap into it. I saw this interesting thing though, and this is not the same thing as like, let me just go do whatever I want, because freedom is a paradox. Freedom, one, is not really free, and in order to truly be free, you have to submit to discipline. So your inner child might say, I want to go and drink this big gulp, right? It's pleasure masqueraded as basically destruction, slow destruction. Even if it's like once in a while, maybe that's good, but it's not the same. Being yourself, this is what I'm trying to say. Being your inner child is not synonymous with pleasure seeking, okay, or instant gratification, most importantly. Being your inner child means continuing to keep that same wonder and awe that you had as a child, tapping into that inner child to be able, because that's the most pure version of you. You were just you when you were a kid. You weren't anybody else, and you were really good at being you. But as we get older, it's like, it gets tough, because this conditioning, and this is the whole point of the spiritual journey, is to undo these programs that were set in place, but not necessarily as if it's like your job to undo them. I believe that the universe is a just, merciful, and loving place. Even if we see the duality here on earth, but we are always ascending to our evolution, our fullest potential. And the fact that you're here listening to this right now means you're most likely on that path as well. Because this is not just my words, even though I'm being myself, this is the beauty. I'm being myself, but at the same time, this is a group effort, right? This is not just my words, these are our words. And I don't know if it's going to impact anybody or not, but all I know is at the end of the day is to just be myself. Like, bro, I was literally out at Town Square. One of my good friends hit me up. He's like smoking hookah. He's like, you want to come join me? And I was like, let's go. I've had a pretty busy day, but then I remembered, I was like, 6 o'clock. Got to do my live stream. So I'm like out and about in Town Square, and I had to hop on this live. But it's cool because I had all my gear with me, so we are way good. So there's a lot of power in being you. And when we step outside ourselves into this greater perspective, then we're able to also help others knowingly or unknowingly. We're not entitled to the fruits of our labor. We are entitled to labor itself. We work because it is what we want to do. We do this work because it is what we want to do. And who says it has to be work? That's the essence of the tapping into that inner child. You turn work into play. How can I make this into something fun, something exciting, something I can be happy about, something that will fill my heart up? This is the essence of being you, and also being, period. Life is beautiful so as long as we see it as such. Or otherwise, because that is how we see it as such. I spoke about this on my live stream on Friday, wherein the topic was, do the stars really control our destiny? And I said, you are the stars. Like, you don't, maybe not physiologically, literally, maybe actually, yeah, you are made of stars, right? Physiologically, but not literally you being the star. But I feel, this is also something else. I feel when you do tap into the full power of being you, you shine like a star. When you think about the sun is a star, and it's always shining. There's no day and night. It's the sun. It shines. It is always shining. We see the duality here on Earth, which represents the cosmic environment that is set up here. This is the school filled with a duality for our soul to grow into our own star power. Right? You got the earth and then you got a star. So I feel like once we're able to complete our training here, right, we become a star. And what does a star do? It shines. Its power is never taken away, right? To our eyes and our senses, it's literally immortal. But it also has a finite time. But it's much longer than human life. We could say that. I really believe the universe is symbolic. It's not like some things, I don't know, guys, like, I don't know if you've experienced it, but like some things just don't make sense. You experience certain synchronicities, it just does not make any sense. You're like, how? You know, you call your friend and he's like, oh, we were just talking about you. And you're like, how? You know, or you see a specific like sign or symbol as you're having this profound realization. There's so much more to it as well. This is all part of it. But there's power in being you. There's power in shining your light for the world to see. Think about the sun. The sun just shines. And what does that light do? By the way, the sun represents the inner child in astrology. But what does that light do when it just shines? It brings warmth and life to us here on earth. So there's power in shining your light. And there's certainly star power in being you. Dean Davis says, I agree. I believe that Earth is the proving grounds. We entered into a contract that we cannot remember because there are lessons down here that we cannot learn up there. Yes, and those lessons present themselves in duality. So the power of being you, right? If you are the star and you're shining this light to the earth or other planets, but let's just say earth, that light which you cast will have a duality. Some people may misunderstand you. Some people, when it's night in this part of the world, it's day on this part, and it's never the same. So I think there is power in being you, but there needs to be a balance of that as well. And that balance resides in allowing others to be themselves. That is how you navigate and synthesize duality. You allow others to be themselves, because that duality does not exist. Now, I'm not saying don't have like values, don't have standards. Yes, this is all part of being you, right? Part of astrology is the planet Saturn, which rules limitations. Like we are literally like, okay, setting up boundaries. This is who I am. This is what I stand for. There might be people who don't stand for that, and that's what it is. You move on. If anything, you're grateful because you say, thank you. Thank you, universe. Thank you, God. Thank you, higher power, source, for allowing me to move towards those who I'm meant to be with. And we've all had this happen. We're all part of this earth game at the end of the day. We're all human. So there's power in being you. That light you shine will bring warmth to all. Because night inevitably turns to day. Because the light never stops shining. You will never stop being yourself. And when you do go against yourself, you are eclipsed. Right? Eclipses in astrology are very fated events. They're very karmic. They help us become more ourselves because the light is eclipsed for brief moments. Right? The ancients, they saw it as like a negative omen. When they would see eclipses, they would be scared. Like, imagine being from like the old world, and you're just like minding your business, and then you just see a freaking eclipse. You're like, you're losing your. That was a funny thought. There's power in being you, and when you are yourself, be in a spirit of play. Don't take everything so seriously. Take your boundaries seriously, but not everything else. Be you. Shine your light. You don't know who needs it. And our light has different seasons, right? The sun isn't always at the height of its power. The sun also, in the winter solstice, is at its lowest point of power and position. So there's different seasons to being you as well. Astrology proves this. You're not always going to be spring, but you can always be yourself, which is all seasons. And there are those seasons where it's like winter. Things are slow. Things are dying. But then spring comes around just so you could be reborn. This is the power of being you. So shine your light. Realize that there's always going to be seasons to this light that you shine. This is the power of astrology. It's 12 different lenses in which that light can shine. The sun is a very powerful symbol. You know, there's literally like cultures that would sun worship. But don't mistake the symbol for the thing symbolized. Right? The sun has a deeper significance, especially in astrology. Like I said, first it rules the heart, right? The Leo, lion heart. And then it rules the inner child, that part of you that is innocent and is worthy of being seen. But it goes in all these different, it goes through a hero's journey. We are all on a hero's journey. And astrology shows us the way. Even if I'm not talking transits, it is the wisdom behind the science that enables me to speak in these metaphors, which I can explain the spiritual journey to you guys. So always shine your light, because there's power in being you. Star power. Respect all the cycles and seasons of your life. But at the end of the day, know that it is always you, and you always return to self. And in that matter of the power of being you, I have spoken. Thank you guys so much for being here and allowing me to be myself. And I pray that this wisdom is well received. And this is why we're here. This is our journey of being one with the sun. That's what this whole series is about. So if you guys have no questions, real quick, go in the chat. Yeah, you agree with the eclipses back in the day? It's true. I imagined myself being in that situation. I was like, oh shit, that'd be crazy. But if you guys have no questions, I send you guys my love, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. I really appreciate your guys' support. Make sure your notifications are on so you do not miss a live stream. Sunday to Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sending you guys so much love. God bless you all. Cheers.